Good morning, everyone. If you would please stand for the presentation of the colors and remain standing for the national anthem.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, you may be seated. Thank you. A big thanks to Poplar Grove Middle School for the presentation of Colors of the National Anthem. That was a great way to start our presentation today. Thanks for being here. Welcome to this event. My name is Matt Largent, President and CEO of Williamson, Inc. We're the county's Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development organization. Our mission is to drive economic success in Williamson County through connecting, engaging, and activating the business community. Again, thanks for being here today. So welcome to our annual State of the Schools event. You know, the reason we put this on is really simple. As education, public education, our private schools, our education ecosystem is really the economic foundation here in Williamson County. We are so fortunate to have a great school system. We're so fortunate to have great involved teachers, engaged parents, and really creating the future leaders of our community. Quality public education leads to a good job, which provides nobility, purpose, and identity. And I can tell you, working in economic development for the past 15 years in Tennessee and the past 10 years in Williamson County, it is the number one reason why companies choose Williamson County for their investment, which leads not just to jobs, but careers for our friends, families, and neighbors. Let me also start today by thanking our sponsors, Tennessee Tech, Fifth Third, Williamson Medical Center. And it's my pleasure actually to have Dr. Oldham, the president of Tennessee Tech here. I'll invite him to the front to give a few remarks. Tennessee Tech is a great economic development partner for Williamson County and Middle Tennessee. And again, I know this doing economic development for the past 10 years. Anytime you give Dr. Oldham a call, he jumps in his car to come and talk to a company who's considering investing in Williamson County, Middle Tennessee. So Dr. Oldham, the microphone is yours. Thank you again for your sponsorship.
Well, thank you, Matt, and it's such a pleasure to be here in Williamson County today. I feel a real kinship in Williamson County because you all value education, and that's clear from the turnout today. You know how important it is. We share that at Tennessee Tech because it creates a better quality of life for everybody. Certainly jobs, it leads to great careers, and it has practical significance to families and communities, obviously. And you build your community around education, and you invest so heavily in education here in Williamson County. We appreciate that. We appreciate the fact that you send us a lot of wonderful students from Williamson County to Tennessee Tech. We have over 400 students currently at Tennessee Tech from Williamson County, and they're fantastic. They do a great job, and they go off and have wonderful careers. And hopefully a lot of them come back to Williamson County and continue to invest in your community. And Matt's right, we're always ready to help, we're always ready to partner, and love assisting in any way we can, particularly on those things that lead to better opportunities for all of us. So with that, I think the video that I'm going to prompt here kind of explains Tennessee Tech better than I can do right now. But thank you for letting us be part of this, and hope you have a great day. You can't predict the future, but you can count on Tennessee Tech always putting students first. Our faculty, staff, and students have shown strength, compassion, patience, and kindness during these trying times. I'm a college president, and Carrie and I are also the proud parents of a Tennessee Tech student. We want every student to be treated as we want our own son to be treated. We understand today's challenges and put the focus on student success. For us, it's personal. That's what you can count on at Tennessee Tech. Tennessee Tech puts students first with new guaranteed scholarships. I'm Tech President Phil Oldham, introducing the Presidential Scholars Program. Now Tech has more scholarships for more students. Visit tntech.edu/wingsup.
Great. Again, thanks Tennessee Tech for the sponsorship. We really appreciate the partnership we have with you, for sure. Another one of our major sponsors for this important event is Williamson Medical Center, and they're such an important community partner as well. And they do so much to the community, and they're about to do a lot more with the capital campaign to provide state-of-the-art medical facilities for the residents of this community and surrounding communities as well. So please enjoy this video from Williamson Medical Center.
Williamson Medical Center has long been committed to the highest quality and safety standards, and 2021 is no exception. The hospital has once again received a 5-star rating from CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The hospital is among only 3 5-star hospitals in Tennessee and one of only 455 nationwide. The overall star rating is awarded from these 5 categories: safety of care, readmission, mortality, the patient experience, and timely and effective care. The distinction is representative of the team's dedication to compassionate quality care. Williamson Medical Center is honored to be your 5-star hospital.
Great. And also I want to thank Fifth Third Bank, who also was a sponsor for today's event, and our media partners as well, Williamson Herald, Community Impact Newspaper, Southern Exposure Magazine, and your Williamson. Thanks everybody for making today's event possible. Appreciate it. Thank you. You know, I mentioned this earlier about how important education is to our community. Dr. Oldham said the same thing about higher ed as well. We know what role it plays. And I'm really proud leading this organization that we have so many partnerships and have created so many partnerships with our school systems over the last several years. It's too many to go through here today, but it's really what is important is that leadership in the schools, from the administration to the teachers, have all been open and embrace these really unique partnerships that we have that a lot of chambers don't with their public school system. So that's really important. I also want to just make a note, when it comes to leadership, what's really important in our community too is members of our school board. And I wanted to just take a moment and just address them today at the outset of this. I know, and everybody in this room knows, it's never been harder in this county, in this country, to be a member of a school board. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate, our team appreciates, our community appreciates the work you do day in and day out for our schools. I just can't tell you. Please, go ahead. I think standing ovation is absolutely in order, for sure. Thank you. That's great. That wasn't even in the script. So I had a whole bunch of other things to say, but you know what? I'm not going to, because I think that says it all. As a small token of our appreciation, I want you to know we've gotten each one of you a $100 gift card to A. Marshall Hospitality, one of Annie Marshall's many restaurants in Williamson County and the region. So please enjoy that. And again, thanks so much for your service to our community. It means a lot to this room and to this community that you're willing to serve. So it's my pleasure to continue this program, really kick off the main part by inviting Dr. David Snowden, the Director of Schools for Franklin Special School District, I would say to the stage, but there's really no stage here, just to the front. He's going to talk about, give the state of the schools for Franklin Special. But what I wanted to mention as I do the introduction is what's really unique about what we have, and I think some people know this, maybe other people don't, is that every Monday in our team meeting, we actually have someone from Williamson County Schools and Franklin Special Schools at those team meetings, officing out of our office on Mondays. And I think that unique partnership has led to so many other partnerships in the community. So I just want to thank Dr. Stone and Jason, too, for allowing us to do the kind of things that really gives the students in our community opportunities and experiences you wouldn't get at any other place. So with that, Dr. Stone, thank you, and the front is yours.
Thanks, Matt. As always, we appreciate the opportunity to talk about the FSSD and a few of the outstanding programs and accomplishments of our schools and the district. I also like to make sure I thank Matt and the Williamson Inc. for allowing us this opportunity each year. It's very important. Last year's remarks centered around the challenges COVID was presenting and how we as a district, our schools, and personnel were adapting to meet those challenges. Today, I promise, you will hear very little about COVID. I knew you'll be happy to hear that. Only thing you'll hear about COVID today is how many of the accomplishments that we'll discuss were made in spite of COVID, in spite of the pandemic. As we begin, I want to recognize the foundational support of the FSSD, and that is our board members, and I'd like to introduce those. They provide constant support for students, families, and employees, and that was never more evident than during this pandemic. Our board members are Robert Blair, Chair, Alina Bell, Vice Chair, Robin Newman, Treasurer, Kevin Townsend, Secretary, Board Member Tim Stillings, and Member Alicia Barker. And let's give them another round of applause, please. We also have a few members of our leadership team. If they'll just wave, they were extremely important, and we appreciate them, so thank you. And some of the most important people we have are actually doing the work today, and so they're not able to be here. Our principals, of course, our teachers, our assistant principals. I think our principals are streaming, and so if so, we certainly welcome them because they have been phenomenal during the past 19 months during all this. Before we begin the slide presentation, I want to take an opportunity to recognize the FSSD teachers, staff, school administrators, students, and parents. The 2021 school year was challenging and difficult, to say the least. No one had ever experienced a pandemic like we've just experienced, or continuing to experience. After schools were officially closed for the last 9 weeks of the 1920 school year, there were many predictions related to the learning loss that was going to occur across the state and the nation due to students being out of school, physically out of school. Those analysts failed in one aspect. They failed to take into consideration the passion, the dedication of our teachers, school leaders, and FSSD employees and the efforts they would make to ensure student success. Our students did show some learning loss, but it was limited and not nearly to the degree that many had projected. We have and will continue to do our very best to support our teachers and employees and provide them as much grace as we can in all their areas of responsibilities. We would encourage, and I know many of you have and many of your businesses have, we would encourage you and the entire community to think of ways that you can show additional support and encouragement for our teachers and our employees. I know it would mean a great deal to them. I said we wouldn't talk much about COVID, but I think this is an important slide. As you can see, we started the school year. It was a rough start, to say the least. We had lots of positive cases, and we had our mitigation protocols in place, and thankfully those numbers have continued to dwindle. And as of yesterday, we had only one positive case in the entire district. So things are looking up, and we're certainly very optimistic that we will continue with that trend, and we certainly hope so. I want to highlight one of the highlights this year was in our TCAP results, and we're extremely positive and very excited about this. The FSSD outperformed the proficiency percentage, of the state by double digits in every subject area, social studies, science, math, and English. So, and as I said earlier, these things were accomplished because of the teaching, because of the work that's being done in our schools. And so that's always, as a school district, we're always proud of students when they perform and they're successful. And this year was no different, even during the pandemic. Part of the TCAP, the Tennessee State Department, recognizes reward schools every year for outstanding growth and achievement. This year, 62% of our schools were named and recognized as reward schools. Franklin Elementary, Liberty Elementary, Moore Elementary, Poplar Grove Elementary, and Freedom Intermediate. So we are very thankful for the work that they do and the recognition they received this year for the outstanding student success by achievement and growth. Also, we're celebrating that from a district level, being a level 5, that's the highest level of designation in the state based on your TCAP. We had a 5 in literacy, a 5 in numeracy, a 5 overall. So this was a great achievement. Also, the district is in the top 10 in achievement in the state, and that's normally a placeholder for us, and we're very proud of that fact, and we continue that. Also this year we're very excited. Liberty Elementary was obviously a reward school, but just a few weeks ago we were notified that Liberty Elementary is a national blue ribbon school. And first one we've had in quite a while, and so we're excited about the achievement that they had. They will actually receive their award at the end of this week in a ceremony at a conference in Washington, D.C. Well, it's actually in Maryland, but right outside of Washington, D.C. So this was a great effort, and I might say that not only did our teachers and our staff have this phenomenal achievement and this phenomenal effort to get this reward during a pandemic, they also have been operating during an interior renovation of the entire school. So sometimes teachers weren't even in their own classrooms. So pandemic, renovation rather. So this was really a great achievement, and we're very proud of them, and we look forward to having that opportunity to recognize them later on as well. This slide talks about our mental health support, our therapists, and this is a really unique partnership and a great partnership that we have with Mercy Community Healthcare. They've been able to place certified therapists in every school to help students and families navigate their mental health challenges. I can't say enough about this. We noticed even prior to COVID that a lot of our students were struggling with mental health issues. Anxiety, depression, conduct disorders, oppositional disorders. And now since the pandemic, since we've been back in school, as we entered school last year and again this year, we're seeing more evidence of students who are struggling with those type situations. The one positive thing is we started with one therapist several years ago, And now we've been able to move forward and we have at least one day a week we have a therapist in every school. And we have 3 schools that 5 days a week we have that opportunity for our students, which is great. And we want to enhance that program every year until we get to the point where we can have 5 days a week in every school to have a therapist available. So this has really been a strong program, and we look forward to continuing that and to growing that. These are our latest additions, all except one. I knew they would get a lot of applause. We now have a therapy dog in every single school. We had Maddie Grace on the far left top for several years now, and thankfully Johnson Elementary, where she's located, is right across the street from my office because occasionally I need a lot of therapy. So when I need that, I'll just go across the street, and it's amazing what Maddie does for me. I don't know how much she does for students. Well, I do know how much, but she really is helpful to us as well. But now we thought we would need only one at Poplar Grove, but being a K-8 school, Alma is our therapy dog there, but we do plan to add one more, and that would be at Poplar Grove Elementary, so that they would have 2 at Poplar Grove, one in the middle grades and one in the elementary. I have to tell you a quick story about Star on the bottom left there. And Star quickly became a star this year. The very first day of school, when our students came, the principal told me this story. And there are stories like this across every school with our therapy dogs. But we had a little student that was in 1st grade. Last year, when she was in kindergarten, she didn't want to go into the classroom, and that was quite frequent that she didn't want to. And when she did go into the classroom, she would yell and scream, and so it was not a great situation. And she got better during the year, so the principal was excited and anticipated to have a really positive year. Well, first day of school, they're walking down the hallway, and the little 1st grader now stops and would not go into the classroom. So our quick thinking Miss Patton said, somebody go get Star. So they get Star. She's coming down the hall. The child sees the dog, sees Star. Her eyes light up like a Christmas tree. And the principal says, Star is going into 1st grade today. Would you like to go in with her? What do you think the child did? Yes, she took Star, and just both of them entered the classroom together, and no yelling, screaming. So that's just one example of how we think, well, how we know, not think, that our therapy dogs make a difference. And as I said earlier, we joke sometimes, but it's really accurate that our teachers, our employees enjoy the opportunity to pet and to have that opportunity to be around those therapy dogs. It's really a great program, and we're excited to have been able to expand it. So we'll see. We'll keep you in touch. If you were there 2 years ago, last year was virtual, obviously streaming, but Maddie Grace did come and visit. So we may, in another State of the School opportunity, bring other therapy dogs here. I think you would like to meet those for certain. Other mental health supports, as you can tell, social emotional learning, mental health supports are extremely vital. Yes, we want to support academic and behavior in all aspects, but we are going to continue to focus and have supports for social emotional learning. The focus, which obviously included the slides before, but it also includes our social workers, our new Quaver SEL curriculum, which the board heard about at our last meeting. That's in every elementary school. This is an innovative approach to social emotional learning that focuses on the needs of our pre-K through grade 5 students and the teachers and the counselors who support them. We're also piloting this year a partnership with the YMCA, the Youth Community Action Program, YCAP, to provide an after-school SEL program at Freedom Middle School. Matt talked about partnerships and relationships, and we totally agree that's extremely vital in the work that we do. I want to first recognize and continue to thank the Sheriff Rhodes, Mayor Anderson, and the County Commission for our SROs. As you can see a picture there. Last month, our board recognized all of our SROs at our board meeting, and they have made a huge difference in our school. And just knowing that they're there, sometimes you say, well, what have they done what have they prevented? There's no way you can tell what they've prevented. But we know that having them there is really great. It's comforting, but it's also, we know that if something does occur, then we've got law enforcement on our campuses that can take quick action. We have other great partnerships. You'll hear about another partnership with the City of Franklin later on. We have a tutoring partnership with United Way. Raise your hand. And I just have to take one moment, and I'm going to introduce Jason later on, but I want to talk about Jason and Golden and the relationship that we have. We are colleagues, but we're also friends. And during COVID, it was not unusual, Jason, for us to talk on the weekends. It could be a Sunday afternoon. I think one time I may have even called him during church. But he always answers. I always try to answer because we have leaned on each other quite a bit over the past 19 months. Other programs, other partnerships there with the Williamson County Association of Realtors, YCAP, as I mentioned earlier, NOOC, Columbia State, GraceWorks. All of these are extremely important, not for the district, but for the students and their families. And that's what we have to keep at the top of our thought process. This is our 2021 positive behavior models. This is another extremely important program that we have. This is a response to instruction and intervention related to instruction, as I said, and behavior. This is an evidence-based approach for meeting the needs of our students. And as you see, this year we have three Silver School recognitions: Poplar Grove Elementary, Poplar Grove Middle, and Liberty Elementary. And then 2 bronze schools, Freedom Intermediate and Freedom Middle School. So we're excited to have these model schools. All of our schools participate in positive behavior support. We think it's extremely important because we know that students with issues related to behavior are not going to learn as much without that support and intervention. And that helps all students, not just the students that are struggling with that. It's exciting to talk about our future and the construction projects and our partnerships related to those. The FSSD Performing Arts Center, Poplar Grove Elementary Gym, and also the new FSSD baseball and softball fields. The Performing Arts Center is actually located between Freedom Middle, but it is connected to Poplar Grove Middle. It's 3,400. I should have this committed to memory, but I don't. 34,400 square feet with 485 seats. This is really going to be a state-of-the-art facility. And we do anticipate community use once we get it off the ground. Once in completion, we hope, is by the end of the school year. We have plans to at least have some graduation, or excuse me, not graduation. We don't graduate from 8th grade. We celebrate the transition to high school. So we're looking forward to having those celebrations in that facility for both Freedom Middle and Poplar Grove Middle. We'll just see. As you know, anybody that's in construction or any other business, the supply chain has impacted our construction projects. But we are really excited about this facility, and I think you will be excited and our community will be excited because as I said earlier, we believe that we'll have some community organizations that would like to use that facility once it's completed. Poplar Grove Elementary gym, and some might say, well, you've already got a gym at Poplar Grove. It's a K-8 school, and in many cases we've had physical education classes that operated in the commons area, which is not great for the instructional process and classrooms around there. So now, once this facility is completed, we can have middle school children, students, and elementary students participating in physical education simultaneously. This is another partnership, or I mentioned a partnership early on with the City of Franklin and how important all of our partnerships are. But if any of you had children to play on the baseball and softball fields located behind Freedom Middle in previous years, they were not to the standard that we like to have in our facilities. They were okay, but that's just what they were, okay. But these will be state-of-the-art facilities, fields, and not only give an opportunity for FSSD students to utilize, but the City of Franklin. So we're especially thankful to Mayor Moore, BOMA, Eric Stuckey, and Lisa Clayton. To be frank, Lisa Clayton and we've brainstormed this for about 10 years, I think. And every time we thought we were getting close to maybe creating a master plan, then something would happen. But now we have a master plan in place. This is phase 1 of our master plan. So we hope to have that continued partnership for many years with the City of Franklin and related to fields, whether it's soccer fields, tennis courts, or other venues for our students and for the community. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. For 15 years or so, our professional learning around diversity, equity, and inclusion has been constant. It's something that we've had a focus, and we'll continue to have that. We've also increased our focus on the recruitment of educators and staff members of color. In January 2021, Derek Young, a culture career strategist, facilitated a session for our board and our leadership team designed to explore how can we ensure that all students and staff feel welcome and supported. In the months since that session, small groups from those teams have met via Zoom to discuss the following questions. Number 1, what should we keep doing as a district? Number 2, is there anything we should stop doing? And number 3, what should we start doing? One idea that came out of these discussions was to invite a diverse group of former FSSD students who are now 9th graders to participate in a student panel last July to help answer those 3 questions from their perspective. The board and the leadership team will meet again jointly in January to plan for ways to validate and implement the actions that enhance a system-wide culture of belonging to all students and staff. The FSSD continues to participate alongside the Williamson County Schools in the Be Nice initiative. This initiative complements the counseling curriculum related to bullying prevention and character education. Each November, the board passes a Be Nice resolution. Our Be Nice special events are planned at each school. Our student ambassadors who are selected will again participate along with other groups in the Veterans Day Parade. The schools emphasize the Be Nice philosophy throughout the year. This is just the month that we highlight it, but it's emphasized throughout the year with various events and special assemblies. In closing, we all know COVID has not only caused illness and death, but it has caused a significant divide in our community and in communities across the nation related to different pandemic elements. We want to encourage everyone to focus on all the great things we have in common. As a community, as citizens, as Americans, and to help spread this Be Nice philosophy and to express gratitude for our many blessings. I know personally, it was a few days, maybe more than a few days. I wanted to wring my hands and just think, oh my goodness, but I had to bring myself back to have either a physical walk of gratitude or a mental walk of gratitude to be thankful for where I live, this community, how we work together, and how we continue to partner for the betterment of schools and students and families. So I just encourage you, occasionally, if you start feeling a little COVID overwhelmed, which we all probably have, just let's have a walk of gratitude, whether it's mental or physical. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about the FSSD today, and thank you for that opportunity. It's now my privilege to welcome to the platform, I guess I almost said stage, Matt, but to the platform, Jason Golden. As I said, he is not only my colleague, but a great friend, and I enjoy the opportunity to work with Jason. So, Jason.
All right, thank you, Dr. Snowden, David. Thank you so much. You know, as I was listening, I'm going to have to move the microphone. I hope y'all can. Oh, thank you. I've also been mic'd up by our staff because we are streaming this as well and recording, so I'm going to turn myself off mute and hope that works for us. You know, when Dr. Snowden was thanking everyone, the truth is we could spend our 25 minutes each just thanking you. As I look out in the crowd, all the relationships that we have built, because we all have that common interest in what we're doing here in our community, growing our children, growing this community. And it does my heart good to the point where I even have a little bit of shivers knowing that I'm speaking to a group of people who build for this community. And I so much appreciate you. And I don't know that this is unique, but it's special that we all work together here in this community. And I want to thank all of you for that. As part of that, I specifically want to introduce and thank our Board of Education. We have 7 of our board members here today. Nancy Garrett, our board chair, is here. If you all would just wave to everyone. Jenna Priya, Sheila Cleveland are here as well. Rick Wimberly, Josh Brown, Dan Cash, and Jay Galbraith are here. So thank you all for being here. And Matt Largent, of course, spoke to this earlier, thanking the school boards. Elected officials, thank you so much for leading in this challenging time this last year and a half. As I get started, I want to let you know our communications department put together this slideshow, and the first 3 or 4 slides are photos. So as I talk, I would invite you to just pick out something, just kind of a neat photo as we discuss this. So our vision statement is that Williamson County Schools will provide a supportive environment where students are challenged to pursue excellence in academics, athletics, and the arts. And we have some photos here just to get started to give evidences of academics, athletics, and the arts at our elementary, middle, and high schools. I am so proud of that. As I speak to this, I'm going to start with some growth issues that we've experienced. We're going to talk about extracurriculars briefly, and then we're going to hit the heart of that instruction as I go through my PowerPoint presentation. So I'm kind of flipping Dr. Snowden's order as we go through there, and we'll end in all those points of pride for instruction for our students. You notice there's ROTC there. I want to thank Franklin High School's ROTC Color Guard for coming with us, and of course Franklin Special School District had our national anthem, so thank you guys for that. You noticed the buses out front if you came in. They represented our schools. We're so proud of everything our students are doing. So with that, let's talk about growth. We have a little over 42,000 students, 42,000 students. Williamson County Schools is the largest it's ever been. 2 years ago, when the governor announced in the spring that schools across the state needed to close, basically no one went to school on campus statewide that fourth quarter, spring 2 years ago. Public schools across the state and really across the nation dropped in enrollment, and we were no different. We dropped in enrollment, and we actually projected that it would be a 2 to 3 year period where we grew back to where we were. We have already exceeded that and more. We were at about 39,000 and change 2 years ago. We're at 42,000 now. And you see that number, growth of 1,800 students into first month last year to into first month this year. The actual number is 1,869 new students. So we designed our new high schools for somewhere around 1,800 students. This year we grew by a high school. It's incredible, y'all, how fast we're growing. Now, they weren't all high school students, right? They're spread out across the county, and we're really experiencing that growth. During that time, the governor, said we're not taking tests, we're not taking end-of-course tests, we're not taking TCAP, all those measures that the state administers. And it's really been incredible how we've come back related to that. So over the course of that, we have grown with a couple of schools. We have 2 new online schools that we introduced this past year, largely because of the pandemic. Our strategic plan called for an online school down the road, but we sped that process up. We projected that we were going to provide devices to our students strategically in a few years. The pandemic sped that process up. So those of you who have students in Williamson County schools, you know your child has a device. Those are tools. Those aren't the end-all be-all. The end-all be-all is that relationship between teachers and our students. But we continued to grow. As part of that, I want to give you guys perspective on where we are with our teachers. We have about 3,300 teachers. As part of that growth, y'all, we're struggling with staffing. And those of you who are in business, I'm guessing if I asked you, you could raise your hand as well on the staffing struggle you're experiencing. Tennessee needs to be and must be and is an importer of teachers right now. And what I mean by that is our colleges are not producing enough teachers to fulfill the demands, to fill the numbers of the needs we have for teachers. So we actually recruit beyond our state. We recruit in Ohio. We recruit in Pennsylvania. We go beyond Middle Tennessee to recruit. I'm glad Tennessee Tech is here. I know you all have a School of Education. It is a real challenge for the colleges. The colleges are working together with the State Department of Education and with locals like us to try to grow teachers. With respect to us, we are actually at this moment, you see the 3,300, we're short 18 elementary school teachers as we stand here today. We are short 8 middle school teachers, and we are short 14 high school teachers. Now think about your staffing. If you're at 90, 95% staffing, that sounds okay, but when you visualize that as actual teachers missing 18 elementary school teachers, which is traditionally not an issue for us, it's a real challenge. So I wanted you as business leaders to know that's one of the challenges we're facing. I have related to that our starting teacher salary. $40,150. So visualize that with a starting teacher in housing here. The market is changing, y'all. Those of you who are business leaders here know that market is changing. I'll speak to this in a little bit, but government doesn't respond super quickly to market changes because of our budgeting structure and because of this tax structure. But I want you to know that those are challenges we're facing. With that, we compete. We're bringing in some of the best teachers, those teachers who are open to growth, and we are so proud of our teachers. But I felt like it was important for you to know that. And I know county government is feeling this as well. I've spoken with Mayor Anderson. They were a few hundred employees short. I got to ask, I mentioned the idea of raising your hand. How many of you as business leaders are short in staffing? Yeah, it's a lot. And so it's nothing new for this community. But it's a really nice challenge to have, truthfully, because we are growing, because people are coming because they want to be here. And I'll speak to that in just a little bit about why people want to be here. So let me give you one other example related to that and put a call out for those of you who might know someone who's looking to work. We have about 900 special education teachers assistants across the district. They give direct services to our students with disabilities. We're about 75 to 80 short on that, and that's a big number. One of the reasons that we're a little short is because we have been working on a Grow Your Own program, where some of our teachers assistants come in and we work with local colleges, and they do those few extra classes so that they can get their teacher's license and become special education teachers. So in a strange kind of way, we're excited about that challenge we have with special education teachers assistants, because we have been able to fill some of that gap with teachers with our special education teachers assistants. One other market condition, since this is a group of business leaders, I think it's important for you to hear. We have seen that there's a segment of our workforce who didn't really need to work, and they chose to take a break during COVID. Many of those haven't come back. So I am curious, I see some nods in the audience. I am curious if you have techniques that you have been able to use to bring those folks back who didn't need to work but want to, share them with us. I think it's important for our community to rise up and work back together to bring those folks back to continue the great success that we've had here in Williamson County. So I want to thank the county. I want to thank the county for funding. How many of you have seen the news reports about the state reviewing BEP? So BEP is the basic education program for the state of Tennessee and how the state funds us. They are starting on a review of that over these next few months. They've set up an oversight committee to look at funding, and they have established 18 different subcommittees to work on a portion of the issues related to the complexity of BEP. I happen to be on one subcommittee where we're going to be representing municipal, suburban, and high-growth school districts in that discussion. But I want you to know the reality for Williamson County. I don't know if you can see those of you in the back. Our total budget is funded 64% from county government. You support public education here in Williamson County. That is very different from a lot of the state. The state structure is basically a Robin Hood effect, where those who have the capacity to fund are left with that responsibility to fund. And as a result, when you think about the basic education program of the state, our county leaders say, for us, it's twice what you think is basic. And I am so proud of our county government for funding. So what does that mean for boots on the ground? That means arts, that means music, that means a nurse in every school building, and maybe one more if students need those extra procedures over the course of the day. That means advanced placement classes in high schools. That means college and career technical programs in our high schools. It means the complexity of all those course offerings that your children deserve as they grow and develop. And so I want to specifically thank our county leaders for that. It's different here, y'all. It is different, and I'm going to speak to that just a little bit more when we talk about that student growth as well. So I got to tell you a story before we speak to extracurriculars. I mentioned the 1,869 student growth that we've had. Dr. Snowden mentioned learning loss, and we have experienced all those issues. With that 1,869 student group come a lot of students from other places. We have seen that learning loss, Dr. Snowden, largely from communities who have lost their students who have come here in the past year. Last year during COVID, we fought hard on a daily basis to keep students in school, in the classroom. Quarantines just ate us up. I'm going to be tempted to ask how many of you had a child who experienced quarantine, but I won't. It was tough, but we fought on a daily basis to keep students in school. With those new students coming in, we do screeners to see where a student is and their ability to receive that grade level instruction. We have seen a great increase this year in students performing on those screeners below the level that they are ready to receive the grade level instruction. And we know that that's directly related to those students in other parts of the country who didn't get on-campus school instruction. And we're working on it. We are intervening with those students, those new students who are coming in, to catch them up to grade level instruction. And we are really pleased with where our teachers are going, but that's one of the challenges that we've faced because we've been able to keep our students on campus and so many other parts of the country haven't. Y'all, we have it good here. Sometimes it's easy to forget that if you live in the, in your little world. So we're really proud of that. So we talked about academics, athletics, and the arts. I'm going to go backwards and I'm going to talk about extracurricular activities. Last year we had 21 TSSAA state championships. Already this fall, we have 4 at the high school level and 6 at the middle school level. Just this year, all our middle schools joined the Tennessee Middle School Athletics Association. And the joke was that, that we were going to become either the SEC or the ACC of middle school. And I know one of the questions at one of our board meetings was, well, which one are we? And I'll let you decide. I think the jury's still out, but we are so proud of our middle school students, and we're excited to be participating in the Tennessee Middle School Athletics Association. But I want to speak to extracurriculars just briefly. There's research out there that really dates back to the start in the 90s, and it's been going on for the last 30 years. And researchers have looked at the question of what kind of impact do extracurricular activities, what kind of impact does that have on students? And they reached 3 main conclusions about the impact of extracurricular activities on students. Number 1, students are more engaged with school as a whole if they're participating in an extracurricular activity. To put it bluntly, they show up. They go to school at a higher rate than students who aren't participating in extracurricular activities. Number 2, they express a higher degree of happiness, of contentedness with their life if they are participating in extracurricular activities. And a third conclusion that this research has landed on is that those students aspire at a higher rate to go beyond where they are, to look to the next step, to look to post-secondary education if they are participating in extracurricular activities. And when we say in our vision statement, academics, athletics, and the arts, that's what we're talking about. We give excellent academic instruction, but we also encourage that participation in athletics and the arts so that those students can build themselves as a whole person. And I want to also speak briefly to students with disabilities, our special education program. Those who came before us made a decision decades ago that we were going to do it right when it came to serving students with disabilities. 30, 40 years ago, a bunch of federal laws were passed, and our folks were engaged at the federal level in planning for what that was to look like and how we got past what we saw 50, 80, 100 years ago in serving children with disabilities, where students were coming into the school. And we knew that having students with disabilities participate with their peers as much as possible in the general education classroom was the right thing to do, and it was good for students with disabilities. We will occasionally show you data that shows our students with disabilities outperforming the state average for students without disabilities. That happens from time to time. But the reality is, for serving students with disabilities, it's about personal service. It's about finding what's right for that child with that child's disabilities. And we continue to do it right. And we are a magnet for folks who have children who need those services because we do it right. And it's expensive, but our commission and our board knows it's worth it. It's worth doing the right thing for those students. So you might see a child with a disability participating as a cheerleader. Those kinds of things do my heart good when I see. So when I speak to extracurricular activities, I'm speaking to everybody. I'm speaking to all students, the work we do. You know, Dr. Snowden talked about RTI 2B. He talked about mental health. And when you're speaking, we're speaking the same language. We're going through some of those same processes to serve our students where they are. You know, you've heard, it seems like every generation laments that parents don't take care of their children like they ought to. And there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to that. But we work with our parents and with our children to give them the best we possibly can. So that's a little bit of WCS by the numbers. Let me speak to instruction. And I don't know if you can read that based on where you are, but this year we had 72 National Merit semifinalists. National Merit is basically the highest award a student can get based on how well they do on the PSAT. Boots on the ground means scholarship numbers for students. We had 72. Did I say 71? 72. 72 National Merit Scholarships. Our highest ever was 51. We had an incredible jump from one year to the other. And let me give you kind of a broad explanation of why and then do a little drill down. The broad explanation of why is because we compete nationally. There are a fixed number of National Merit semifinalists that this institution, you know, nationwide sets up. A fixed number. We did it right last year. We fought that battle and kept students on campus. And we went from 51 the prior year to 72 this year because we're competing nationally. Because we did it right, our students are reaping the benefits of those higher numbers. I don't know what the future holds, but what I know this past year is we did it right. So let me give you some numbers related to Tennessee. 215 total Tennessee students were named National Merit semifinalists, 215 in Tennessee. We have 72 of those. Pull your calculator on your phone out. That's over a third. Y'all, we had over a third of Tennessee's National Merit semifinalists. I'm so proud of those students. Some of those students went to Franklin Special School District. The work we're doing, I heard an extra clap from a former FSSD parent. I love that. The work that we're doing in giving those students opportunities is pretty incredible. I also want to mention that 4% of Tennessee, I got to step back. I didn't mention this. National Merit, these numbers, that's not just public school students. That's all private school students. That's homeschool students as well. 215 total, public, private, homeschool in Tennessee. Williamson County Public Schools represent a third of them. Have I said it enough? I'm proud of it, y'all. It's incredible. And we're competing nationally. Have I said that? Okay. All right. So Dr. Snowden mentioned his reward schools. About half of your schools were reward schools. Likewise, about half of our schools were reward schools as well. That's a designation that the Tennessee Department of Education establishes based on a formula that largely is derived from performance and growth. How well your students did and how well they grew compared to where they were before. And 24 of our schools were named reward schools from the state of Tennessee. That's the largest number statewide of any school district. Carol, 5 minutes? Oh my goodness, 5 minutes. We're on track. We're on track. I swear we're on track. We represent 4% of the total public student body in Tennessee. I'm going to let you do the math on this. There are 188 total reward schools in the state of Tennessee this year. We have 24 of them. You have 5? Is that right? So just do the math on that. Williamson County is doing it, y'all. We are doing it right with performance and growth for our schools. And let me tell you how we do it. All of us were students. All of us have been in schools somehow, some way, at some point in our lives. I want you to know that the teachers do a lot more than the students know they do. Our teachers spend a ton of time planning. They work with each other as teams. In your business, I think you've learned you can't do it on your own. You have to work as a team. Our teachers are doing that. They meet, they plan, they look at Tennessee standards, they drill down, they assess/test on standards, and then when they recognize their student might not have mastered a particular standard, they go to their colleague and say, I see that your child mastered that standard, but I'm struggling with this. They work together to grow their students as a team. Teachers' work is professionalized. Teachers' work is systematic and it's team-driven. We constantly hear from our teachers they need more time to work together so that they can plan to serve their students. And it goes to those Tennessee standards and drilling down to make sure we do right by our students. It goes to the next level. What about the students who have mastered it? What do we do then? And push them even further. And it goes to those students with disabilities who I mentioned before. What do we do to help those students grow as much as they possibly can given where they are? I'm so proud of our teachers and the professional work they're doing. That's how they do it. What you might have seen when you were in school some blank number of years ago is very different with the depth of the work that our teachers are doing as a team. All right, real quickly, I'm going to hit some growth issues that you all see. Dr. Snowden mentioned some of their growth points. We are in finishing up the third stage of a four-phase plan to put artificial turf on all our fields. That's driven largely by extracurricular activities. Girls soccer occurs at the same time that football occurs. There's a lot of use of our fields. Lacrosse is coming for TSSAA. They're going to bring lacrosse in. Under their umbrella, and we're pretty good at that right now. I won't get into the details, but we're going to continue to grow that. Page Middle expansion has been finished. Page High's under expansion. I know our architects are here. There you are. Thank you guys for the work you're doing related to that. Page High School is going from a 1,200 student school to a 2,000 student school. That area is growing. We are expanding our high school campuses, largely because we can and because it's cheaper. I'm just going to be blunt. And the commission is funding that. Currently, Ravenwood and Summit have been funded by the county commission to expand those schools by about 400 student capacity. Nolensville and Centennial are on the capital plan. I'll miss one, but Franklin, Independence, on down the line have already had some expansions related to that. Fairview's on the horizon. We hear stories about Fairview growing as well. A lot of developments in planning in Fairview as well. We have a new elementary school planned in Spring Hill and another one in Triune. They're both scheduled to open in 2023. We continue to grow. Wilkes Lane in Spring Hill, a little bit south of Highway 96 in the Triune-Arrington area. Brentwood Middle replacement is scheduled to a phased system to finally complete in fall of 2025. We're going to keep our students on the campus while we're doing the construction work. So that will be a phased approach for Brentwood Middle School. Anybody been in Brentwood Middle School? It feels like 1970. It feels like, but I tell you, it's some of the best instruction you'll find in the entire nation. All right. So here's our challenges. Staffing, I alluded to that. Next, getting students new to the district at or above grade level. I mentioned that already. And I want to briefly mention RTI 2B, behavior. We have found that some students who've come from other states don't recognize the emphasis on instruction and how behavior needs to be in the school if you're going to grow. And so we've been able to work with those new students about what it means to be in a place where you're learning. And we're so proud of the work our folks are doing related to that. Food supply chain. Those of you in business, you know, I mean, it's a daily fight to make sure we literally have enough food in the cafeteria to meet the needs because trucking. I know some of your businesses experience that. Finally, national issues. I wish I could tell this story, but the short version is civility nationwide has lost us somewhat, somehow. We heard when the chamber went last week to the Dallas area to study growth from an executive with an airline. They're experiencing a lack of civility in those direct relationships with the folks they're serving. We're seeing the same thing. It's tough right now. High-performing school districts are facing the same challenges across the nation with different faces. And I got to be blunt, we're not teaching critical race theory, if you guys have heard that. Critical race theory is designed, as it's defined by those who are asking, it's designed to make someone feel guilty, in essence, as a result of their race. We're not, but what we are doing is finding ways to help all our students feel safer in their school. Dr. Snowden alluded to it. We're working on the same items. I've had many conversations with our students who have in essence said there were many times where they were afraid to report bullying behaviors on the basis of race, on the basis of sex, on the basis of religion, because they weren't confident that we were going to do anything about it. That strikes me hard. We're continuing to have those conversations. We've gotten professional help so that we could strategically plan to increase our students' feeling of safety in our buildings. I don't have time to talk about that now, but oh my goodness, that is important, y'all. Every student deserves to feel safe in our buildings, and we're working on that. Finally, but let me tell you what I'm asking of you. Thank your teachers. Thank your staff. If you find a moment, a particular thing that they did for your child, thank them. They need that. We all need that support. I've got so many stories related to just that one little thank you making a difference. Anyone who serves someone directly got exhausted over the course of COVID. We heard it, we've seen it in the airlines with the stories. It's happening with teachers. Those of you who have employees who do direct customer service, have you not heard that as well? Build them up. I ask you to build your teachers up when you get that opportunity. It's an incredible profession. Advocate for public schools. Matt, thank you so much for speaking to public schools so often. We're doing it right, we're doing it well, and because of that, our community is succeeding. And finally, Dr. Snowden mentioned it, be nice. We didn't quite table or shelve that concept a couple of years ago, but sometimes it feels like we did. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. Let's be nice to each other. And that's it.
I'll take it off. All right. Yeah, that's nothing I can do with that. All right. Thank you so much, Jason. Thanks, Dr. Snowden. I think they hit all the topics we'd want. I think what's most important, and I take from conversations like today, is never forget we're all on the same team. We all want this community to be prosperous. We all want this to be a great place for business and for families. And you know what? You don't get one without the other. And so I think it's so important that no matter what differences we have, just remember we're all on the same team. So a couple things as we finish. You'll notice centerpieces at your table actually have our final 2021 signature event, our real estate summit on November 30th. You can scan or take a picture of the QR code and register now for that. Also, we have a couple door prizes. And Dr. Oldham, would you come and help me draw the door prizes so no one thinks this is rigged? So we have 2 door prizes today. Go ahead and pick, and then I'll explain what they are. Just take 2 cards. Maybe we can close your eyes. There you go. Okay. All right. This is really neat. So the 2 prizes today, we've got some flowers. I think that's from Fairview High from one of the programs. And then their structural engineering program, that table was actually made from students with no nails in it. That's a good thing, I think, from perfectly no nails, right? So anyway, the 2 of those. So let's pick one of those. Who we get? This is for the flowers. Misty Woodford for the flowers. Oh, there she is. Okay, perfect. And then for the table, Carissa Weist for the table. Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Oldham. Appreciate it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming today. Register for that event. And again, thanks for your investment in Williamson Inc., your investment in Williamson County. Take care.